Welcome to FutureX, the podcast where we look to solve the variable that is the future of Web3. Every week, we'll talk with some of the brightest minds in the blockchain and Web3 space, from top investors to founders and builders, paving the way for a decentralized world. So what is the future of blockchain? What will Web3 look like in 2050? Let's explore together.
Hey, Vince. Thanks for being here on another episode of FutureX. Would love for you to give a brief intro on yourself and your journey into the crypto space.
Thank you, Mark. And it's my pleasure to be here with you on the FutureX podcast. Hi, everyone. This is Vince from zkLink. I'm co-founder of zkLink. I'd like to maybe introduce myself a little bit, like on my background, why I joined crypto and when I made the choice. It was actually in the year of 2019, last cycle, when the market was very bearish. And one big trigger that I jumped in the group rabbit hole is one of my friends, a very close friend of mine, went back from the United States. He left his job at World Bank, and he introduced me to Bitcoin mining and Bitcoin miners and all these Bitcoin technology and blockchain technology. We spent like nearly 3 months debating why this technology is going to work and what are the applications, what are the use cases, and what is this exciting opportunity. And finally, I decided to join him. So we started the mining business together. We bought miners and started to deploy the mining facilities in some of the mining farms available at that time. This was still very popular to mine bitcoins within China when there are abundant resources of energies, thermal plants, hydraulic plants. That's how we got started. And then we began to realize that actually there's more than Bitcoin. And then we were introduced to Ethereum and the smart contracts, gradually, because we were more involved in the big blockchain conferences, the crypto conferences. Then we were lucky to discover the emergence of DeFi applications. And early days of a little bit ahead of DeFi summer, we were already aware of this coming wave of like DeFi applications. And then we joined together one leading exchange, centralized exchange platform at that time being, and started working on looking into the new use cases and applications on DeFi. We were like part of the ride of the DeFi summer in the year of 2020. That was a really fun time, and we saw a lot of things happening and a lot of new applications and adoptions. It was exciting times every day. Then we realized that there are actually a lot of things that can be built. And then we continue to learn more about DeFi. And then there was NFT. The early days of NFT, there was like so it's just like what has happened with DeFi, and also previously with the smart contracts with Ethereum. There were doubts or discussions, debates. So then we will see that NFT adoption has become crazy in the year of 2021 when the whole market took off, and the bull comes together with the Federal Reserves that has put a lot of liquidity onto the market. It was in the year of 2021, the early 2021, that we firstly discussed the potential use case that we could build with zero-knowledge proofs. It was actually 2020 when we were doing the mining with Bitcoin, and also Filecoin was another major mining. There was a major project within the mining business, mining sector. Some of the developers that we're working with today, they were already doing the optimization of the Bellman. There was a ZKP module in the Filecoin design that they were doing optimization on Bellman. That was the algorithm used by Bitcoin. And Q1 2021, we were discussing on what to build. Because we see a lot of new emerging layer ones, outer layer ones, scaling solutions for Ethereum was already a big topic at the days, and there were sidechains, state channels, plasmas, and then there were also the discussions over the layer 2 solutions. The early ones are zkSync and Stackware, right? Stackware already delivered the scaling engine as StackX for DYDX. And then we realized the potential of ZKP to scale Ethereum, as well as to build some other projects, primitives that are needed, urgently needed, with the emergence of new outer layer ones and potentially layer 2s. We actually were the first ones to imagine the scenario where we have actually multiple blockchains and multiple layers. There could be like many layer 2s that on top of the Ethereum layer 1 to to serve different purposes. And then we imagined that you would need like solutions to communicate among these different layer 2s, or even the layer 2s want to directly communicate with layer 1s, especially in terms of liquidity. As a user, as a DeFi miner, because we're also doing DeFi mining, obviously, we would also a lot of times we want to move our liquidities from blockchain, from Ethereum, from BNB chain, from to the other new ecosystems where you have like higher yields, you have a lot of opportunities to trade, and using a bridge at the time being was very risky, right? And we often need a better solution than that. And that was the original idea of zkLink. So we want to build interoperability protocol using zero-knowledge proofs. That's simply because that we are big fans of the technology itself. At the same time, we realized that actually you can implement this tech using it for this purpose because of the properties, some of the properties of zero-knowledge proofs. Using validity proofs to prove everything that you're doing, and the communication, the interoperability among layer 2s would be like a great use case that we imagined in the year of 2021. It was still very early, and not so many people were actually working on the implementation and development of zero-knowledge proofs. Yeah, but then we had this original idea, and then we just decided to work on this project full time. And then we started the fundraising, and we started putting together a team, recruiting more devs. That's the story of the original of zkLink project.
That's great. So you went from Bitcoin mining into centralized exchange, and then you went down the rabbit hole of decentralization, and you looked at the infrastructure side and said, there needs a lot of, there's a big opportunity to bring improvement, not only in DeFi, but in the broader Web3 ecosystem.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, the DeFi was absolutely the reason that we got super excited about the whole industry and the future potential that that could happen. And then we see the NFT, then we are we see new things like Web3 social, other stuff as well. And then we debated about what type of infrastructures needed to enable mass adoption, to onboard millions, even billions of users. And we realized that the scaling Ethereum is definitely needed. And the scaling solutions, they are going to form because the different layer 2s, right, they will be needed for different types of applications purposes. DeFi is not the only type of application that is needed for Web3. And for other types of Web3 applications, they might need layer 3. They might need like an outer layer 1. Then in the future will be like a multi-chain, multi-layer, serving different purposes for application specific app chains that we see today, and also like a lot of layer 2s already here today. And at the time when we imagined that, then you need like a lot of interoperability among these different layer 1, layer 2s, even layer 3s. And then how do you do that? We will say that if you do this with zero-knowledge proofs, you'd be able to do this in a way that is secure and also efficient. I think it is one of the best opportunity that we can we can see in the space. Is definitely a primitive that it is needed and urgently needed.
Yeah, Okay, so we'll get into the details of how this benefits DeFi because that's particularly interesting to us as a derivatives desk, right? But backing up for a second, so you guys got started with zkLink, I think, quite early in the zk space, right? Before all of the
I would
zk
say
hype,
so.
you
Yes.
guys are already, and I think it's been a little bit of up and down. I think, there was a lot of well, in the beginning, it was very academic, this zk kind of concept. I mean, zk has been around for a very long time, well before Web3, right? But I think within the application of Web3, it was seen more as like in the academic circles very early on. And then in the last couple of years, it's really hit like the mainstream Web3 audience, right? There's been a lot of hype. Everyone said this is going to change the way that, blockchains work and how users interact with on-chain transactions. I think some of that has fallen short so far, right? So, there's a lot of great projects out there, zkSync, like you mentioned, Starkware, but I think there's still a lot of limitations. I'd be curious to know like how you guys see the zk space and how you guys are approaching some of the gaps that are in the current zk market right now.
Absolutely. We're still at the very early days of like a real adoption of the zk tax. It dates back right quite long. The first types of applications or business use cases in crypto of zk is actually Zcash, Zen, horizontal labs, then the privacy preserving transactions enabled by these layer ones. Zcash is Zen, and then you have Monero. And the second wave that we see is the scaling solutions, the layer twos, which started in the year of 2018, 2019 led by Starkware, led by zkSync. And then we have other types of zk use cases and privacy preserving protocols like Aztec. That's another layer 2, and a layer 1 as well. Some Manta network and also Aleo. There are a lot of guys coming in since the year of 2021, the second half of 2021, especially last year, 2022. I think the market has realized the great potential of ZKP, and that's many different use cases that it could implement. So we have seen a lot of new zk projects in the space using it for different purposes, like post-quantum computation, decentralized identity, like on-chain gaming, like autonomous worlds, and even interoperability, which is represented by zkLink, and also some other types of use cases. The gap, there's still a big gap of of how we wanted it to be and what it is today. The implementation in general is still very early. The maturity of ZKP, especially in the field of privacy and in the field of scaling, although it has already become very evident that the scaling solutions are going to work. It is more of a question of when than a matter of if. So the ZK rollups, ZK EVMs, ZK VMs, there are roughly 10 different projects, probably more than that, already building ZK EVMs, ZK VMs, the generic layer 2 solution, scaling solution for Ethereum. They have raised a lot of funds, obviously, and they have a lot of user base already, a lot of followers, and people are very excited for this new layer 2 ZK rollup layer 2s, because the two out of these ZK EVMs is already live on mainnet, right? So people are already making deposits and making transactions on zkSync and Linear. So it has already become true that the ZK rollups is already working, but the usability is still not very mature. Your developers are still waiting for them to for them to be more usable. That's
even on the user side, I think it still needs a lot of optimization, right? So
definitely.
I don't think, and part of it is, the argument is ZK technology in general, ZK rollups, they require a little bit of economy to scale, right? You need the more transactions that are going through the network, the more kind of cost efficient it can become. Because I know right now, even with some of the popular zk rollups, gas fees aren't as low as maybe most of the industry was expecting. And I think we're slowly making progress getting there. But it does, to your point, it does feel like we're still a bit early in the zk race.
It is. Yeah, so I just to give you some numbers, right, metrics. Now you make a transaction on zkSync or Linear, it still costs 0.3, $0.4 per transaction. This is definitely not what users are expecting or wanted. This is like relatively cheaper, like 10 times cheaper, probably compared with Ethereum layer 1 mainnet. But it is still more expensive than the outer layer one. So it's a lot more expensive than Polygon, for example, right? So it is still very expensive to think about it. If you just make a transaction, you send the money to your friend, it still costs you like 0.5, $0.4. Yeah, then so we would like
Well,
to.
I think the bigger challenge is like these kind of costs are prohibitive for people taking action on chain, right? So we want, let's say DAOs, right? We want everybody to vote on proposals and things like that. But when you place even a small monetary barrier, whether it be 40 cents, 50 cents, I think that limits some of the adoption of kind of the everyday use cases that we want to see in Web3.
It is definitely a big roadblock or barrier for like mass adoption for daily transactions when whatever you want to do, right? So for like a large amount of money for like big funds, probably they won't care that much. That's just why like we see still most of liquidities, most of funds are still on Ethereum itself, right? Because they are not very sensitive to this cost. But for retail users, for common users, they definitely need like a lot of cheaper transaction costs. Let's say, I think what we ultimately need is like to bring it down to 0.00001 US dollar per transaction, so we could use it for like a lot of daily activities and transactions. That is, yeah, I think that is still a little far from today, but we have seen a lot of positive signals. This has become like a implementation engineering development problem. It's a matter of time. So it's no longer a scientific problem. So that 1 year ago or 2 years ago, people are still doubting about whether this is feasible, right? People are still doubting about the future of zk EVMs, zk VMs, although they're still not very efficient, or they're still far from being efficient. But we have seen clear ways and paths to improve it, to optimize the efficiency. And as one of the teams that are actively building on zk rollups, we're also a zk rollup structure, although we're to building for different purpose. We are able to to go in different directions, and our solution is actually very focused on efficiency, very focused on cost, very focused on scalability at the same time, because what ultimately we want to build is application focused infrastructure that can empower the urgent answer to the urgent needs of application builders that want to deliver seamless multi-chain experience at the same time, similar user experience that is comparable and competitive as centralized platforms. So for example, we want to enable and support a decentralized order book DEX that can be as cheap as a centralized exchange. At the same time, the onboarding experience will be as intuitive as a centralized platform like Binance. And at the same time, they wouldn't, for market makers, the cost for market making, the cost per transaction could go down to 0.001 US dollar per trade, and then they will truly, make it possible for users to migrate from a centralized platform to decentralized products. And that because obviously at the same, you always want to have a product that answers to the ethos of crypto, right? So assets, self-sovereignty over your assets, self-custodial, censorship resistance, and it's completely transparent. Yeah, there are many benefits that can come with a decentralized platform with zkP, but we have to solve the problems of usability, of cost, of scalability.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned like bridging that UX UI barrier from CeFi into DeFi. And I think ZK is the path to do that, right? Because we can get lower fees where we can become, even for us, we think about how do we become more competitive. At the very least, offer the same user experience as a SEX, right? But
Exactly.
That also includes transaction fees and the overall user experience, right? So one of the things that excites us about ZK is native account abstraction, right? Because that, being able to like minimize some of the steps from 3 to 2 or to 1, I think that goes a long way to driving user activity and user adoption. I mean, I know being in Web 2, apps and products, they spend an enormous amount of resources trying to minimize the number of actions a user has to take. And I think that's one of the big challenges of Web3. And I think account abstraction is one of the few solutions that are kind of addressing that directly.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Account abstraction is definitely a key component that is needed for user onboarding on DEXs or on other types of decentralized products. And we're actually also integrating account abstraction solutions on zkLink as a roll-up, right? As a roll-up in the option environment secured by zkP, account abstraction would work. There are some advantages. Using AA on the layer 2 level because it's costless, so users wouldn't have to pay for gas each transaction they make, because some smart contract wallets enabling in account abstraction on the other ones will be very expensive. That is the case. For example, you want to run a wallet on layer 1 chains, then each transaction you have to pay for the gas. Then it will become a little bit like expensive, and probably some users won't be very, very comfortable with that. But on the layer 2s, then you could enable that function without having to pay for gas for each transaction. So this is great, and account abstraction will bring a user experience that is really similar to centralized platform. So users can log in with their social accounts, can do social recoveries. You don't have to worry about seeds phrase management anymore, which is really not user friendly, especially for Web2 users.
It's not. No, I try to, sometimes when there's a popular meme coin and I get bored and I feel like trading it, I try to share it with my friends, but then I start trying to walk them through the account, the wallet setup, and I tell them, oh, here's a 16-word phrase. If you lose it, that's it, you're done, right? So I think that's like the biggest barrier into crypto. Yeah,
it is scary. So we have seen very significant progress on AA products. We're doing integration with some of the smart contracts wallets as well. And the user experience, to be honest, is a lot better than the EOA wallet, external owned accounts. And so this is going to be like the combo of account abstraction wallets, and it's very good. The next generation applications, this will, I think, for the first time to open the doors for mass adoption. Well, for DeFi, mass adoption maybe means like millions of users. And this is like are already like so many more users than what we have seen today on the market. And for other types of application, for example, for Web3 social or gaming projects with AA wallets, probably we'll be seeing like billions of users. We're absolutely positive and we're optimistic about what's gonna happen in the next 1 to 2 years when these products are fully ready. Now we're in the process of still optimizing the details and building the infrastructure and finalizing details on the infras, and we see a lot of builders are building every day on a daily basis, improving the user experience and improving the products. And will become a lot of products is going to be ready, I think, in the next 1 to 2 years, and then go to market. And users, I think some builders are really building products that the users going to like.
That's great. We quickly touched on some of the benefits of zk for DeFi. So the transaction speed, the cost, the UI UX. But I think there's one major problem in DeFi right now, right? That kind of plagues the industry, and that's liquidity. Meaning, everyone wants to be multi-chain. We're multi-chain, but I mean the reality is like fragmented liquidity is the biggest challenge for any DeFi project. How does zk kind of approach the problem of fragmented liquidity?
This is actually a very good question. I think the reason we started in the first place is because we want to solve the interoperability problem, which is also the liquidity problem, right? And now we are saying 10 plus different layer 2s are already there, and there are going to be more, probably hundreds of rollups of Ethereum, and they're going to form liquidity fragmentation, liquidity silos on each of these rollups, and also means users would have to move their funds among these different rollups. Whenever there's some trading opportunity for you, or some applications you want to use. And how zkLink solve this problem is to unite these layer 2 ecosystems through a unified middleware, a unified execution layer with the help of zk snarks. So basically, like, we're allowing users to deposit funds directly from Ethereum or from these other layer 2s. All of these layer 2s that you can think of. You'll be able to directly deposit the funds from that zkLink, this middleware layer, and then you could use the applications on top of using the APIs. Then this middleware layer, then you don't have to worry about where to go, because this middleware layer is already connected to Ethereum and this different layer 2s. So whenever there's a trading opportunity or an application that you want to use, you can just choose to use that through zkLink's middleware layer. So the liquidities are connected, are unified and aggregated in this way. And this is, I think, it is very much needed is for some types of applications that wants to go multi-chain, multi-rollup. So from the perspective of the application developer, they wouldn't have to deploy multiple times onto Base, onto zkSync, onto a StackNet. Instead, they use the API of zkLink, and then they're already at one stop with a few lines of code. They already go multi-chain, multi-rollup, and they tap to the liquidities on these different rollups. I think this will simplify the development cost, and also simplify the user experience and simplify the navigation. Then I think in a way that is, I think in our eyes that is the best approach to address to interoperability and also the navigation complexity. We're abstracting the complexity of many rollups, the complexity of multi-chain, and make it a one-stop. So users will. This is also somehow related to the recent topic of intent-based products, right? So users wouldn't have to know which chains or which rollups they are using. They just go to one platform,
Exactly.
which is already multi-chain, and this is done not through a bridge. Right, through a bridge, you have to rebalance liquidities. You have to worry about the security of the bridge and also the bandwidth. There's how much liquidity can handle on the because a bridge always have liquidity pools on different chains. And with zkLink, they are already natively integrated and connected to multiple chains and rollups. And the users just focused on user experience. They just use the products. And the first step is to choose, okay, which chains you make deposits from to. This is very much like when you use Binance, the first step is to make a deposit, right? I deposit $100 to Binance and I start trading there. And after trade, I probably will leave my fund there. I park my funds there. Right? I wouldn't have to worry about anything else. I don't have to think about, okay, which chain am I using when I'm doing trading, right? So which chain is the token I'm buying from? I just, Instead, I'm thinking of something else. Okay, I'm thinking about, okay, the price chart. I'm thinking about, okay, where, when, and where, and how to buy. So, and there will be similar on the products that is using zkLink. Okay, the first step, make a deposit, and then you forget about the chains or rollups, and you just use the product, and then after that you could park the funds there, and you could also withdraw. And when you make a withdrawal, you select where to go, which chain, which rollup you want to go, and you also can send it to other wallets or other addresses. I think this is exactly the same user experience that centralized platforms are offering right now, and plus account abstraction then will be completely the same user experience.
Yeah, I think that's so important because when you use a centralized exchange, you don't care what network a coin is on, right? You just care, like, I'm just worried about the asset, and like you mentioned, like some of the technical and fundamental kind of insights that I need on that asset. But I don't necessarily need to know if it's on BNB or Arbitrum or Polygon or ETH mainnet.
Exactly.
As a user, I just want to be able to trade. I'm just looking to speculate, or I'm just trying to hedge, and doesn't matter what chain it's on. And I think the goal of DEX is to be that gateway for people, where it kind of, to your point, abstracts away the background by integrating with projects like zkLink. It's interesting because I always tell people, like, I think if Web3, the day that Web3 gains mainstream adoption is the day that most people won't care about the underlying infrastructure. Meaning, when you use Uber, do you care if it's hosted by AWS or some other cloud hosting company? And the answer is no, right? Like, for you as a user, all you care about the user experience for the end product that you're using. And I think for Web3, we need to get there if we're going to have true mainstream adoption.
Yeah. We definitely needs to, the whole industry needs to work together to provide as simple as possible, simplify user experience. So we need browser types of user experience. You just go where you want to go. You don't have to worry about it which chain or which network. You don't have to worry about it specifically with the technology behind, or just need to know, okay, this is good enough, and you are secured. And then I think that is the user experience we need to deliver.
Okay, great. So we're talking about how it's still early days in zk. How far along are you guys? I know you guys have a mainnet coming up sometime this year, and I know you guys have some ecosystem projects already. So
yeah, we actually already launched the alpha mainnet in about 6 weeks ago, and there's one application that is live on their mainnet already, which is zkEX, and multi-chain order book DEX with spot and perpetual contract trading at the same time. There are 2 other ecosystem applications that is on testnet that are on testnet still, and they will be live on mainnet very soon. So there we have seen roughly 5,000 traders trading on a daily basis on zkEX. So this market, while we're still in a very bearish market, so there are not so many on-chain trading users. But we're definitely optimistic about so when market gets better, and also the products get more mature, and the liquidity is still it's very thin, because when you launch a new DEX, you always start from zero, right? So you have to gradually to attract more users, and then initiates the flying wheel, and you have better liquidity, and you have better user experience, and you have more users coming, and then you would have more institutional traders to come when you have more retail traders. That is the flywheel that you want to to come to go with. And the alpha mainnet is live on 10 mainnets on 10 different networks, 6 layer 2s and 4 layer 1s. Currently, the 6 layer 2s are 2 zk EVMs, Linear and zkSync, and 4 OP rollups: Arbitrum, Optimism, Base, and OPBNB, and 4 layer 1s: Ethereum, BNB Chain, Polygon, Avalanche. And going forward, the zkLink infrastructure will gradually shift from layer 2.5, where we settle transactions on layer 1s, both layer 1s and layer 2s, to layer 3, multi-rollup layer 3, meaning that we are settling all transactions and posting proofs to layer 2s through the zk EVM, zk VMs. By doing this, we will significantly reduce cost of transaction without having any compromise on security. So we'll strictly derive security from Ethereum to solve, while greatly reduce the cost per transaction. Being a layer 3 has a lot of advantages in scalability and in cost. Efficiency of the circuits will be further improved because we're implementing a new proof system. Currently, we're still using Plonk, the algo, zkSNARK. It is already very efficient, right? So we're already reducing the cost from 50 cents per transaction to 0.05. So 2 zeros. And now we're in the process of implementing a new proof system, which is going to be at least 10 times more efficient than what it is today. So the cost per transaction, the off-chain computational cost plus the on-chain gas cost together will be going down to 0.0053 zeros. And that will be significant improvement for trading application and for users as well, because ultimately users will benefit from this cost down. And and this will unlock new strategies and for market makers as well.
Yeah. So you guys are in alpha now. What's your roadmap look like for the rest of the year, right? When do you guys plan to put out your beta? I know you guys have some ecosystem projects in testnet right now. When can users expect kind of a more thriving ecosystem for zkLink?
Users can already use the first ecosystem to have zkES on the alpha mainnet and trade, make deposits from 10 different mainnets and trade on roughly 10 different assets from these different ecosystems. And going forward, the Q4 this year, our focus will still be optimizing the efficiency of the circuits, as I mentioned, that implementing a new proof system, which will bring down the cost, and at the same time, and finish integration with more layer 2 ecosystems. Currently, we're doing the intensive test on Starknet. We have completed the Cairo 1 contract, and we'll launch. It will go live on alpha mainnet this month on Starknet. So this is a new zk VM, so new types of addresses and new types of contracts, and then we will continue to work on adding more features meaning more types of use cases, products. We're going to enable NFT issuance, NFT minting, and NFT trading in Q4 this year. So we will support NFT marketplace, and also we will be able to work with some gaming projects on their game assets issuance or trading. And we will also be implementing the new structure that I mentioned from layer 2.5 hybrid model to layer 3 model, where we settle transactions on zk EVM, zk ROMs. Because we could have done this before, but we couldn't because the zk EVMs, the zk rollups were not in place yet. So we need these layer 2s to be ready first, and then we can do layer 3. That is why we're making a compromise to go first with the layer 2.5 model. So this means they will still have a lot of work to do regarding the zero-knowledge circuits, regarding the structure where we settle transaction, the DA deployments, and also keeping adding new features to the protocol to unlock new business use case, and continue adding more networks to the collections to have more assets, more trading opportunities, and more liquidities that you can unify and aggregate.
Got it. I think looking beyond zk, are there kind of any other narratives that you're excited about being a builder in Web3?
Absolutely, yeah. So zk is not everything in crypto, right? Yeah. So I think account abstraction has already been there, and it's coming, and some projects already launched the products, and with this we'll see many new opportunities, right? I'm personally also very interested in Web3 social, the social graph. There are different projects working on it, like Lens Protocol, CyberConnect, and the recently friend.tech on Base is really trendy. Right. These types of projects, I think, will help like a Web3 to go to a wider audience and have a much bigger user base. Like onboarding experience of users, like social products naturally have that kind of potential. I don't see anytime soon that DeFi can go like billions. We more
Yeah.
first realistically, let's go first to millions of users.
Yeah, I do think, if Web3 needs a killer app in either social or gaming to really hit mainstream. I mean,
exactly.
I
I agree with
sometimes
you.
get a little bearish on social because, social fi so far I think friend tech has a really interesting concept, but it's still very much driven by monetization and speculation. And just in general, Web3's entry barrier is still so high. So I think we're so early in getting that killer app. I think with account abstraction, maybe hopefully sometime next year, we really streamline the user experience. I mean, instead of having to use your wallet to sign on, being able to kind of, use email instead. Even little things like that just go a long way into getting people to onboard.
It is fundamental, actually, to simplify and abstract the user experience.
Yeah.
Users, every step you add to the onboarding process is the funnel that you filtered out a lot of users that really don't care about the tech underlying. They care about the user experience, right? It needs to be smooth, and as you said, you need to streamline the user experience, and also very bullish on some gaming products. And sometimes it has to be gaming, it has to be fun to play with, and it has to be great in user experience. GameFi or SocialFi, the fi part is just catalyst. The fundamental is still the gaming experience. The fundamental is still the social graph. What types of users, what's the social graph behind it? What's the when we started to use Telegram, when we started to think about it, WhatsApp, when we started to use Facebook, it's also about how fast and how fast the people want to join, right? So, but we see like endless projects trying to address to and trying to bring a real use case. It's an application that people really like. It's very difficult to build a real Web3 social for sure, but whoever had managed to do this is multi-billion-dollar business for sure. It's going to be billions of users easily. It's naturally Web3, like a Web2. This global market. It goes everywhere very soon, over a few nights, overnight probably.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier that I think in the future, if Web3 ever gains true mainstream adoption, no one will know that they're using blockchain, right? Or they'll know that it's on blockchain, but they won't know about the underlying infrastructure. They don't know which chain it's on. What do you think the future of Web3 looks like? If everyone's using it, do you think people will interact with it in the same way that we interact with Web2?
Well, this is difficult to imagine. Personally, I think I can still personally cannot imagine how blockchain, crypto in general will look like in 5 years time, because it's not a linear process, right? This is exponential. That the infrastructure we're building on unlocking new possibilities, new opportunities, and they are adding together. They probably will enable use cases that we cannot think of today. Because if you think about 5 years ago, I wouldn't be able to imagine layer 3. This is like something that we never have thought about before. We wouldn't be able to think about simply a social application. I wasn't, I don't think that was a part of the discussion, like account abstraction. This type of things, like in 5 years ago, was like it's unimaginable. So it is difficult for me to imagine how it will look like in 5 years time. But I hope that Web3 will be able to. Just hope that it will be able to deliver user experience similar to the Web2. That would be great. That would be really, the whole industry will become mainstream, will become everywhere in our daily life, and will truly, change the way that we interact, change the way that we transact the values. That would be a great outlook of the future of Web3 in total. As a builder in the industry, we definitely hope that our tech can change people's life and add value everywhere.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think this brings us toward the end of our interview. So would love to have you share some words with the audience, maybe any alpha that you can share so they can have some kind of actionable insights after this episode.
So the biggest alpha
when tokens.
is definitely keeping a close eye on the progress of zkLink and also ecosystem dApps that building using zkLink. We're not reinventing wheels. Honestly speaking, the applications that we're supporting are not like the type of applications that you see on other layer 2s. We're not building another AMM, not building another order book. But the applications will be new, will be very new in terms of user experience. And so stay tuned, and they're already there. Okay, you guys already can try out, and you will find out if you like it or not. And then they will, hopefully you will be part of our journey as well. Yeah, that will. I will assure you there will be very rewarding journey.
Cool. Well, Vince, co-founder of zkLink, thanks for being here today. Would love to follow you along on your journey. Where should they follow you guys? On Twitter, on Telegram? What's the best way to keep up to date?
Yeah. They definitely can follow us on Twitter, zkLink official, or you can follow me, or you can join our Discord, and you can find us, and if you want to some in-depth reading, you can go to our website. zk.link is our website. There's detailed information about the tech and about the use case and about the vision in our documentation. And you could also, read our, articles on Medium blog. So there's a lot of articles explaining how we're doing this. So we have a lot of things. Yeah, we have a lot of channels on social platforms. You guys that can, find the information about us.
Awesome. So everyone listening here, check out zkLink, check out some of their docs. They're doing some really exciting stuff. And thanks again, Vince, for being here.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, thank you for.
Thanks for listening to the FutureX podcast. Subscribe on Spotify or wherever you're listening to this episode.